All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us again for another edition of our Franchise Your Business webinar series. And as we get started and people are loading into the live session here, I always like to start with a couple housekeeping items. If you're new to us here, this is part of a webinar series we've been running since March of 2020. We are at 3.5 years and going strong. And really, this is designed to be specific and provide you specific information on relevant things to help support your franchisor system growth, your franchisee growth, or practical great tools and bits of information to help grow your system at large. And that is the focus here of our session. And I'm pleased and honored to be able to introduce our guest today, who is Terry Moten. And she serves as a digital marketing consultant at M. Roberts Digital, specializing in aiding franchise organizations in marketing their ventures. As a distinguished business coach, Terry is your business problem solver, offering businesses expert strategies for growth and profitability. She holds a business degree in marketing from the University of Texas at Austin and an MBA from the University of Houston, Victoria. Her expansive career encompasses financial services, medical sales, and business consulting. Most notably, she served on boards for the American Business Women's Association and the University of Houston, Victoria School of Business. So Terry, with that being said, I would love for you to jump in and get us started here for today.
Absolutely. Well, Tom, thank you for inviting me, and thank you to the whole Big Sky franchise team. What I am going to do, I am getting ready to share my screen. As Tom said, my name is Terry Moten, and I am a digital marketing consultant with M. Roberts Digital. You can hear probably my country twang. I am here in South Texas, and we are a digital marketing firm, full service digital marketing firm based in Texas, but we service nationwide and internationally. What I wanted to speak with you about today and really give you some education on, because I bet many of you franchisors and franchisees may not know about some of the digital explosion that's happening that can really impact and grow very strategically, grow your businesses, grow your organization. So I'm going to be going over 3 different tools that you can use. One of the first tools we're going to talk about, and you probably have heard of it in some respect, but it has gained so much technology advancement, you may not really realize what can be done. And that's going to be really talking to you about how to really find additional franchisees if you're in franchise development, how to find additional customers and clients, and how to find employees as well for your organizations. So what you've got to realize today is everything starts with data. There is so much data that's out there about you, about myself, about everybody that is out there. And a lot of times you don't realize what may be at your fingertips to use to really be able to hone in on a very strategic, hyper-targeted digital marketing plan to, again, grow your organizations. So there's 3 different types of data you really want to pay attention to that you've got available. One is going to be behavior-based data. Well, Terry, what do you mean by that? So that is, and again, remember, most everything is going to be digital. So it is, what are people doing? Where are they going? Where are they going digitally? What are the behaviors that they have that you can be able to target to grow, again, your franchise, to grow your revenue, to grow additional franchisee opportunities? You've got location-based data. Again, you can tap into almost anyone, nearly anywhere, unless they have just flown the coop and are no longer on the grid. You've got access, because of technology, to tap into them. And there's demographic data, an amazing amount of demographic data available. Everything from age, job responsibilities, geographic location, website data. We know so much information about the target audiences you want to go after. Now, when you are looking at, okay, Terry, there's all of these different things that can be done digitally, kind of the whole internet is so expansive. what are some key things to remember? One of the things you want to really start learning is what's called programmatic marketing, programmatic digital marketing. One of the keys here that I want to share is that the average person spends on Google on a daily basis 9 minutes a day. Well, and so why do I bring that up? Because for many of you, you know, strategies like Google Ads may be something that you're doing. And I'm not saying don't do Google Ads. It absolutely has a place, but you've got to understand there is a much wider play that can be going on because people, again, they're on average on Google 9 minutes a day. And when they're on Google, they're searching, they're looking for specific things, but they're on the rest of the internet on average 6 hours a day. If you want to blow your own mind, look into your phone settings and see how much time you spend online. It will blow you away. Most of you are spending anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. I know I'm online. It shows that kind of my online average is about 8.5 hours a day. So that's where you want to be able to capture people, not just when they're on Google, but everywhere else that they are when they go online.
Hey,
So the,
Terry, real fast. That
yes.
number, I just interrupt that real quick. That data number is I mean, mind-blowing, truly. I mean, I know that phrase is used a lot, but truly,
Mhm,
I would have never guessed 9 minutes on Google. I mean, on the web, sure, that's not totally shocking, six
mhm,
hours, but
mhm.
drawing that comparison is incredible. I had no idea.
A-
So I'll let you get back into your presentation, but
No,
wow, that's really a shock to see that.
absolutely. And one of the things that I'll just highlight too is that time that people spend on Google is very intentional. People don't just go to Google to, be doing drive-bys and seeing what they can just randomly look up. They're going because they're looking for something specific. So that's where it's important that you really know your audience. You know kind of what that customer journey is. You know what that potential franchisee journey is. So when they are searching for things, you can capture them. But here's how we start capturing people outside of just being on Google and doing Google ads. So some of you may be familiar with a strategy called geofencing. But I'm going to share with you some things you probably don't know about geofencing because it has grown in capability just extensively. So there's a couple of different types of ways you can do geofencing. Those who know about it, what you all are probably doing is you know that you can draw what we call a digital fence, kind of draw a digital fence around a location. It might be a building, it may be a competitor, because if you have let's say you have a home services franchise, well, you may draw a digital fence around a competitor. With this type of geofencing, you can also draw a fence around a location that's not just a competitor, but where your target audience may live and may frequent. So, for example, back to if you are, at a home services franchise, you may look at a local, not necessarily a large, Home Depot or Lowe's, but you may look at a more of a local, hardware store, something like that, where people are going into that typically may be your ideal client that may want to be doing remodeling, fence building, deck building, those sorts of things. You can draw a digital fence around that location. And then there's a digital ad that can be served to everybody that comes through that location. And I'll give you an example. I'll show you in just a bit kind of what a digital ad may look like. Now, above and beyond just drawing these digital fences around locations, and again, those locations could be buildings, it could be an entire neighborhood. That is an effective approach, but it's a little bit more generalized. What I want to let you know that most people don't realize is available is something that's called addressable geofencing. Again, it's called addressable geofencing. And that's when you have the ability, because this is one of the areas that we specialize in, you have the ability to curate and build an audience. So they don't just have to be in a particular building or a particular location. There's over 600 different categories that we can build an audience around. And it's not just things like, their occupation or their financial information. It's not just about their household income. It literally may be how they spend their spare time. It's going to be interests, hobbies. Absolutely. It can be things if they're interested in entrepreneurship. If you're somebody, again, if you're building and developing your franchise and trying to grow franchisees, if you're looking for particular types of customers, we can look at buying habits. Have they purchased certain types of things in the last 3 months, 6 months? But there's over 600 different categories that you can segment audiences by, so you can get your information, your ad directly in front of them. And Tom, I have a question for you because this is how I explain it to people. Tom, tell me, what is your favorite fruit? What fruit do you like above anything else out there?
Oh, an apple.
An apple. Perfect. So you do this audience curation, what it's compared to is, let's say you go into your local grocery store, you're going down the produce aisle, you've got apples that are on your grocery list, you're going to get some apples, and you're looking in the freezer, you're looking in that refrigerated section, and you have a choice. You can get, now Tom, do you like red apples or do you like green apples or both?
Uh, I like both, but I probably red apples more.
Okay, so red apples is the favorite. So Tom, it's where you have a choice of, you can get a bag of really ripe, beautiful red, and you can just smell how wonderful their smell is. Just tantalizing bag of apples, red apples that are your favorite, or you could get a bag of mixed fruit. It might have one or two red apples. It's got a couple of Granny Smiths. It's got some oranges, some grapefruits, just a number of things in there. If red apples are your favorite, which bag are you going for, Tom?
Well, it's if I have the bag of red apples,
Mhm.
or if I'm feeling, or maybe a mixed bag if I'm looking for an apple surprise.
So there you go. But somebody that wants those red apples, that's what we've got the ability to do when you do this audience curation, when you use this addressable type of campaign, you are able to get your message in front of all those red apples that you wanted to get in front of. You're able to get in front of that exact ideal audience. What you see here, and this is an example, one of the types of franchises we work with is that of in the staffing industry. So we work with some staffing franchises. And so I've just kind of pulled something that we used. Let's say you may be a franchise that specializing in staffing, you are looking for registered nurses, in Oklahoma. What you see here on the screen, this heat map, where you see all of these different numbers, what this is different households. So for example, right here, it's 67 households where somebody in that household has identified themselves as a registered nurse. Now, again, that it's still a fairly broad category because we can start slicing and dicing and putting more criteria on there. But when we get ready to serve an ad, and I'll show you, that ad goes specifically to somebody who has identified themselves as whatever criteria you may be looking for in your franchise. Again, whether that is looking for potential franchisees or you're looking for customers or clients for your business. So taking it down further. So remember when I said with that more general geofencing, that's where you are putting that digital fence around a building, around a larger location. With addressable geofencing, we are actually putting a geofence, and here's where it gets scary, folks. We are putting a geofence around that person's home. So this is kind of representative of a neighborhood. If you look back, remember, where we've got this heat map where all of these areas, all of these numbers here represent a household, based on census plat. So it's very precise based on census plat. Somebody that's identified themselves as a registered nurse. Here, this is kind of representative of going through a neighborhood, and these are where the registered nurses are. It's not just serving a general blanket ad or advertising to everybody in the neighborhood, because everybody's not going to have a registered nurse that lives there. In above and beyond that, this is where people start to ask, okay, Terry, you talk about serving these ads. Okay, these are digital ads. Well, how do people see them? Where are they shown? The first place they're shown is, and imagine, here's a registered nurse driving down the road to her neighborhood. He or she turns into the driveway. Once they break that digital fence, and again, they've identified themselves as a registered nurse, then they start receiving ads on their cell phone. Well, where on their cell phone are they received? The first place is going to be on the apps that they have on their phone. Apps are prime real estate. So when somebody has an app on their phone, and you've noticed it, you've probably noticed it yourself. When you open up an app on your phone, nowadays, often you have to wait and see an ad before you get the full functionality of the app to do whatever the app was designed to do. Or you may have, most everybody has some type of weather app on their phone, whether it's WeatherBug or the Weather Channel. And as you're scrolling and looking at the next 10 days of weather, you've opened up the weather app, you're looking at the next 10 days of weather, there are ads that are placed through there. So not only are those ads, those seen on the apps, they're also seen on the different websites that that person is now going to. So the websites that they pull up on their cell phone, the websites they use on their tablet, on their laptop, and even on their connected TV, their smart TV, those ads can be seen. Above and beyond that, so remember, we are geofencing the household, and at least one person here has identified themselves as being a registered nurse in this particular example. What happens is those ads don't just get shown to that one person, they are actually shown to the other devices that are in that home. So I always say it's also a little sneaky way to, if they've got a spouse or a significant other, then that ad gets shown to them, and there could be more exposure for that person to hear about the type of business, the type of offering that you have. So after you look at geofencing, one of the things, and actually I'm gonna go back and kind of cover a couple of reasons why, as a franchisee, as a franchisor, you should consider geofencing. It's because when you are looking at building more of an audience, whether again you're building more franchisees, whether you're building more clients, you want to be able to get your message in front of them, even when they may not necessarily be looking for it. And I go back to staffing. For staffing franchises, staffing agencies, right now throughout the country, we have an unprecedented, low unemployment rate. So one of the things we see and we hear is that for the most part, everybody who wants to work is working. Most staffing agencies are using different job boards. So you may be using things like, Indeed, different, there may be some kind of proprietary types of job boards and job listings, but you're only able to, if you're in the staffing industry, you're only able to go after those who are actively looking for employment. With geofencing, now you can get your messaging in front of people who may not be actively looking. They may just be fine and content at where they're working, but because back to the example we had, is they are a registered nurse. Because they are a registered nurse, they start receiving this particular ad And again, they may see it a couple of times and have no interest, but let them have one off day at work. And then they're going to remember, hey, I remember XYZ staffing company sent something about some RN positions. Kind of same thing when it comes to the, whatever products or whatever services you have, geofencing allows you to get in front of a much larger, but very specific audience that you're looking for. Now, from geofencing, there's two other things that I want to kind of talk to you about that a lot of you don't realize is available because these are some very new things. So, once you get to the world of AI, I know people have a lot of differing opinions about AI. Sometimes people are like, I know when it first came out, when ChatGPT first came out back in November, I was like, did anybody see Terminator Rise of the Machines? Because it's looking like this is the way we're going with AI. But AI has some really great uses. So, of course, you've got ChatGPT. If you haven't used it, I would absolutely encourage you to kind of start playing with it. I'm more than happy to send you some resources on how to utilize it. You now have Google Bard, you've got hundreds and hundreds of different AI programs. But there's two I want to talk to you about that can really help those that are in the franchise industry. One is a platform that will, be able to not only just do kind of the social media content for you, what it does is it learns your brand voice. So if you have with you being a franchise, if you're the franchisor, the thing is, when you've got your individual franchisees, yes, you have an overall voice that comes from, and brand from the franchisor, from the franchising company. But each location kind of has their own branding voice for that specific, locale, that specific city, that specific region, that specific area. What one of this particular AI platform will do is it allows you to really build your brand voice. It looks at the way that the corporate, or the franchisor may generate content, and it kind of replicates that voice, but will allow you to put in some of the kind of local flavor and local flair. And what this particular platform does is it'll write in whatever social media, and this one is specifically for social media, it'll write that social media messaging for you. What I like about this, and again, I've got some resources that I can provide to you all where I can send you this information. What I like about this particular platform is it doesn't just make one message that's going to be that's posted on Facebook, the same message posted on Instagram, same message posted on LinkedIn. What this will do is it will build where you've got the same type of post. Again, you may be posting about a particular thing that day. It builds out that content for you, and it builds it out kind of based on the algorithms of the different social media channels, and it tweaks and it says just things just a bit differently, has just a bit different word count where each of those particular platforms like. You literally can turn out your social media posts on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Right now, it's just doing those platforms. You can turn that out in a matter of seconds, but it's
Mm.
still very personalized. The next type of AI system that's out there is, and this is something that's fairly new. It's been around, I believe, a little bit over 2 years. It's really starting to pick up. And I actually have had multiple conversations with the founder of the company. The founder worked for Google and worked for Facebook. And this particular platform has the ability to launch ads, but they're completely built by AI. I know one of the struggles we see a lot with franchisees, especially the franchisees, is when they do have some autonomy to do Facebook ads or any type of social media ads, of course, still following the branding of the company. but a lot of times just don't know how that algorithm works in building that ad. How to really build it to capture the right audience, how to build the right content. And especially if you're doing ads across multiple platforms, you may have someone in house that's doing it, but that is not necessarily completely marketing trained to do it. They happen to be pretty proficient on social media, but they just, again, may not be, especially ad driven on how to do these things. What this particular platform will do is it will build out AI ads literally in minutes across multiple platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Google. It also does it across YouTube as well. It just recently added Snapchat and TikTok ads. The reason this is something to consider is if you are doing paid advertising, number one, this particular platform will, same like this other one, it will build out ads across the multiple platforms, but it will build out dozens of ads. You may just concentrate on, say, Facebook and Instagram with your ads. And you don't necessarily know what ad is going to work or how much budget to spend towards it. What this particular platform does is it builds out dozens of ads. It starts to test to see what ads are doing better. Those that are not doing well, it starts to move those things aside and starts to feed your budget towards the things that are doing well. It recommends the audiences kind of based on your product, based on your service, of who you need to go after. It just allows you to be much more efficient in your marketing, because I know, as again, as franchisors and as franchisees, you really have to be able to prove ROI anytime you're doing any marketing. And these are different things that can be done where in the digital world, it's one of the greatest things you can do to be able to prove ROI, whether it's geofencing, whether you're doing, paid advertising. It gives you the ability as a business owner to say, yes, this is working or this is not working, compared to traditional media and traditional marketing. Not saying you don't, you absolutely need to have an omni-channel approach. You need to be doing multiple things. It's just that when you do things digitally, it can be tracked and you can put a dollar amount of revenue that was increased or franchise development that ended up happening based on specific ads. So I'd like to ask Tom if you have any if you've got any questions, if you have any kind of things that sparked an interest as I was going through this information.
Well, for me, so much of this is really interesting. A lot of this is new or or tools that maybe I've heard of or seen, but not applied in the same way that you're talking about here. So, my question would be, Terry, for anyone who's tuning in, what's the best way if they say, "Well, Terry, I like this. I like what you're doing. How can I learn more about how it might work for my franchise system or for my company?" How can they get in touch with you? What can they do to make that happen?
Absolutely. So a couple of ways, if they're being able to see the actual video, I do have a QR code that's up there that'll be able to link in, and they can just request the information. Very easy. They can request it. I can send tools. And if they'd like to have a further conversation, we can have a conversation. They can also be able to just send me a text to 361 237 0212 and just say more information about franchise marketing. Again, that's 361-237-0212. Those are probably the two easiest ways to get in touch with me. Of course, I'm on social media, on pretty much every social media channel with the exception of Snapchat. And we really do enjoy working with franchises, because franchises and the parent company, the franchisor, it's a different type of spin on marketing that has to be considered. Because as a franchisee, you've got a brand that you've got to operate within, but you also need to be able to know what are the things that you can do to drive more, again, to be able to drive using some of these marketing strategies to drive more business, to drive more revenue. There's so many things that can be completely overwhelming when it comes to especially the digital marketing space. And that's what I'm here for, is to educate you. Whether you choose to do anything through our agency or not, I don't even think about that. I want you to be educated on what's available and how you could be able to maximize your dollars and your resources.
Wonderful. Well, Terry, this has been fantastic and really eye-opening for me on a lot of this, and hopefully for the folks that are going to be that have tuned in and will be listening to a replay down the line here. And I just put out there for anyone who might end up listening to this audio only, her email is Terry, Teri, at mrobertsdigital.com. That's just M as in Mary, Roberts Digital com. So just thought I'd share that as well for someone that might be tuning into audio. And Terry, this has been phenomenal. I will make sure that we get this shared across. We'll get the replay up on our YouTube channel as well as across our podcast services, and then we'll make sure we share this out with everyone again so they can catch this replay next week. I would be remiss. I know we have some guests here. Any questions that anyone might have? I just want to make sure we give someone a chance to type it into the chat box or into the Q&A, or ask to unmute, and I'll go ahead and unmute you there. All right. Well, Terry, oh wait, we've got a hand raised. Hold on one second here. Okay, go ahead there, Dan. Dan, or can you hear us? Oh, Dan, I don't think we can hear you there. Can you maybe type that into the Q&A or chat box? Oh, it just said, okay, great. Okay. Well, Dan, thank you so much. And Terry, thank you so much for a wonderful presentation here. We'll make sure
Thank
that's
you.
available. Yeah, thank you. And really appreciate your time. And everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Franchise Your Business webinar series. And we will have this available. Have a great weekend. Thanks for being here.